Okay, so the next topic we're going to try is snacks or snack foods. Okay, I think this one is a pretty easy topic overall. I don't know how much you like eating, but let's give it a try. So the first question is obviously, what kind of snacks do you like to eat?
Let's think about it. Indeed, I'm not has really a lot to talk about that because I don't like eat the snacks. Yeah, because I just think that the 3 meals is very important in one day, and I think the nutrition is most more is more concentrate on in the main meals than the snacks. I think the snacks is not very good for health. Just because I think they are too greasy, too a lot of sweet food like the chocolate, like the big biscuit and the crisps. Yes, that's not good for health and could let people to become the fat. Yeah, yeah.
You're thinking obese, right?
Oh, yeah, a bit. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, good, good. I think that's a very good answer. The fluency may be a little bit lower than what you want, but in terms of content, very good.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess actually a lot of the questions are things like, do you think it's healthy to eat snacks? So you've see that's a good thing when you already answer a lot of the questions automatically that I don't have to ask.
Yeah.
Right. So in that case, the next question I would ask is, well, what about when you were young? When you were younger, before you were so interested in health, did you eat many snacks? And what kind of snacks did you eat?
Yeah, yeah. When I'm younger, personally, I think I just very like the chocolate bars. So I o- I offered the consequence because that is I have a lot of bad teeth in my mouth. I often go to the dentist clinic for several times. It's a very sad memory. Yeah, 我不知道，说完了吧？
没问题，没问题。对对，我有时候就是听不出，就是你什么时候说完的，因为平常是这样子，你如果一个句子说完了，或者一个整个话题说完的时候，你最后尾巴应该是有个比较低的音，就是
OK，
你用你的口音来表达出我就是这个话题讲完了，对吧？但是如果你是往上升的话，我就是好像感觉就是你接下来要把这个话题延长了。
对对对对
对对，这不要紧。So my next question is, would you allow your children to have snacks?
Okay, that's a good question. And the conflict between always the conflict between my and my daughter. Children always like the sweet or the snacks like the chocolate ice cream or the crisps, but I think in her age that not very good for her health, such as the crisps especially. But I think in the childhood, the children need some sugar as well because it could help the development of her brain. So I think and give her some snacks like the contain sugar that is good for her.
All right. And do you have any specific preferences for snacks? Are there any differences between Australia and China?
You mean the difference between the snacks?
Yeah.
The snacks difference between two countries?
Yes, yes.
Okay. The obvious impression that is content of sugar. That is the feeling of the sweet. I think in China the dark chocolate is a little sour. and not nearly not have the sense of the sweet. But I think in Australia, I bought original chocolate, but it's too sweet. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear it. So I always choose the dark chocolate. In Australia, I think I can bear it. And I think the dark chocolate in Australia equals the normal or the original chocolate in China.
Right. Okay, so here we can, there's a couple of little things that we can fix up, right? So the original chocolate which you're talking about, in here, over here, we call that milk chocolate.
Milk chocolate.
That's the regular type, I think, right? Now, you also said, some types, right? So like, what you said was, I bought some types.
Okay.
Right now, this is where you can kind of show off a bit more of your native knowledge. Like, for example, you could have said something like, I bought some at Cadbury or Nestle chocolate.
Yes.
Or I bought a Mars bar or something like that. Again, that makes your answer feel a little bit more real, because we're talking about very common examples which everyone knows.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't have to be true, right? Maybe you didn't buy a Mars bar, but it doesn't matter. When you say, instead of saying, because what happens is, if you don't give examples and things like this, you end up just saying the word chocolate over and over again.
Okay.
Right. Like, I like chocolate. I went to the shop to buy some chocolate. I'll let my daughter have some chocolate, right. You just, you end up just repeating the same main keyword too many times. So that's sometimes you just substitute for, a random brand or something like that, right? It gives you a bit more variety.
Okay.
In your speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. But I think overall that was a pretty good response. No problems there at all. Okay, excellent. The next topic I would like to try is flowers. Again, flowers.
A flower.
Yeah. A bit of a strange topic.
Yes. Because I couldn't know many names of the flower. Yeah.
That's okay. Now, if you feel, the truth is, this is not a common topic.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want, you can, of course, go online and, just Google a bunch of different flower names and memorize them if you want.
Yeah.
Right. But there is a question, is it worth doing that? Because there's a very low chance, if you go into an exam room, that they're going to ask you these questions.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're talking about your study priority, maybe this one is not too high on the list. Right. But let's see, right? Because maybe you're not an expert at flowers. You probably don't know too many names, but your conversation topic may not actually be talking about all the different types of flowers. Does that make sense? Right. So for example, you could start talking about flowers. You could say, if I was asking you, what's your favorite flower? That's when you could say, I like daisies or roses or chrysanthemums or whatever.
Yeah.
But here you think, my vocabulary is very limited. I don't know many types.
Yeah.
But if I ask you a different question, like what kinds of special occasions would you like to give or receive flowers? Here, that kind of answer doesn't need you to really name a lot of different flowers. You'll be naming different situations where you would give flowers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. So if you get a question, right, you want to think, what types of examples am I happy giving it? Right. And if you've already got an answer prepared, if you've got some idea in your head about what you want to talk about, you can always turn the conversation towards that particular topic. Right. Yeah. And don't worry, after we do this exercise, I'll give you a quick example of that. Okay. So we'll start with the most simple question. Do you like flowers?
Yes, I think it's absolutely yes. Because I think every girl or young or the women like the flowers because it represents or shows the beautiful life and the light and the light future.
All right. So what do you mean by light future?
Well, no,
bright future.
Bright future.
Oh yes. What I mean is, what do you? Why does it represent a bright future? That's the part that I'm not too sure about.
Yeah, I think it could make people to feel very happy, and it have the representation of the lucky, the happiness, and the good future.
All right, I see.
It could bring you the lucky with you always. It will filling with the wishes.
Excellent. All right. Well, obviously, are there any specific flowers that you like?
Pacific.
Is there any specific type of flower that you like?
What time or the situation you mean?
Oh no, I meant what type of flower. So like a rose, a daisy,
Yeah.
a sunflower. Yeah.
I think I'm old-fashioned or the traditional women. So I like the rose, and particular the red rose very much, because I think it represents romantic and enthusiastic. So when the two important times I very like to receive the flower. One is my birthday, and one is Valentine's Day. So I think the red rose is very fit for this two situation.
Okay, so that I think is a very strong answer. Because the original question is just what kind of flowers you like, but you covered a lot of topics there, like are there any special occasions?
Yeah.
Or what something represents and when you like to receive them. Those were actually some of the next questions I wanted to ask you, right? So now you're saving me a lot of time. I don't actually have to ask those questions, but you're also showing that you can develop a topic in a very logical way. Yeah, perfect. Good. Right. And like I said, talking about experience and talking about real situations like Valentine's Day or your birthday, that's where you're getting a lot of your marks from.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So next question would be, I want to talk a little bit about the culture of flower giving. Is giving flowers part of Chinese culture?
I think it's not very popular in China than in the Western countries. Yeah, because I think in China people always to foster or the build flowers at home. They always have the lovely garden or the build the foster the flowers and the balcony, but they always don't like to send the flowers to others. They prefer to send the gift or the long-term gift to anyone else. It could be let people remember them all the times. But in the Western country, I think the people more romantic. They will give the flowers with a card and write down some romantic sentences on it. I think it's a very beautiful time.
Well, other than romance, do you think there's any other function of flowers? Like, are there any other other non-romantic situations where you think flowers are, let's say, culturally important?
Okay, I think the culture between these two countries that is different, the realistic or the romantic. And the romantic, I think in China people more likely be realistic 就是比较现实或者是
realistic.
Realistic. And in the Western countries, they prefer a sense of or the emotion. They prefer that is more important.
So you think flowers are connected to emotions?
Yes.
Now, this is an interesting idea, but it's very difficult to explain.
Yes.
So normally, if I was going to say that flowers are connected to emotions, for example, I would want to give some examples of maybe specific flower types and what kind of situation or what they represent.
Okay.
Right. So let me give you an example of that. Right. So, for example, there's a common, if I said flowers are attached to emotions, right? So earlier I said that, quite often people like to grow a garden, right? Or have flowers, right? To make them more cheerful, to make them feel energetic and very optimistic about life, right? And I think the perfect flower that represents that is the sunflower. Right, especially in some countries like Japan, right? Sunflowers are always seen as being extremely optimistic because did you know a sunflower actually turns towards the sun during the day?
Yeah.
Right. And looking towards the sun is kind of like looking towards your bright future.
Yeah.
So there's a very good representation. Another one might be something like, in some cultures, the chrysanthemum is a very important flower, especially for things like funerals when people pass away.
Funeral.
So flower colors are often
Okay.
representative in a lot of cultures and customs, right? So the custom, for example, with chrysanthemums at funerals when somebody's passed away is usually to celebrate their life with white or yellow flowers.
Yes.
Depending on the culture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you could say that, that's considered very high level, but it's very hard to actually say something like that.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful because quite often if you can't actually express what you want to say like this, then you end up with a statement that's not very supported.
Yeah.
So you want to say something like, for example, chrysanthemums, right, are often part of funeral customs, right? Usually white or yellow.
Oh.
Or something like that, right? And you can say they have this kind of custom or this kind of tradition.
Yeah.
Right. But you can see here that this is a very, very specific statement.
Mm.
And most likely, right, you might know the name of the flower in Chinese, maybe not in English.
Okay.
Right? So that's where you could get potentially stuck. So I would say that if that's the case, it might be better not to mention that particular custom fact. Right, or that kind of representation. Yeah. It's one of those things where if you can say it, you potentially earn a lot of marks, but if you can't, right, you may lose some in your content. It's a high risk, high reward type of situation. Yeah. Right, but to be fair, the flowers is a very hard topic.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, good. Here we go. Let's change to a slightly different one. Now, I forgot that this topic was in. I think this one is a bit of an old one. I don't think it's currently being tested, but we can try it out anyway. Right. So, do you like bags?
Bags?
Bags. Oh.
I like. Personally, I like bags. I think most of the female like the bags as well, especially the famous bread bags, especially in China. Female want to have the one famous bread bag every year because it could could choose the 品味 and the status of the society. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Now, the obvious question, right? Firstly, 品味. Normally, you just say your taste.
Okay, your taste and choose the status of the society of the female, and they will be feeling of the 虚荣心吧，就是feeling of the.
Yeah, here I would say normally we don't say females, we just say women.
women. Okay, women.
In general. Yeah. Females is something you would use in something like a scientific report, perhaps.
Okay.
It's an extremely formal way of saying women, right?
Women, yeah.
Now, the obvious question is, what's your favorite brand? Or are there any bags in particular which you like?
Okay. In the past, I like the Chanel brand, yes, because I read the book of the Chanel Coco. She's my, I think she's have the legal 传奇的the lifestyle. So I like the brand built by her, and in recent days I like the Louis Vuitton. I think it's very popular in the in outside, but I think it's very 就是very hard 就是比较耐用，就是have the insurance or have the 反正就是耐用，and 就性价比很高，我感觉，然后是性价比很高的一个品牌的名牌包。就这种
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you could actually talk about this, right? But usually when we talk about like the for example Chanel or LV or something like that, right? Yeah. What you want to do is you want to talk, you want to describe the kind of lifestyle it represents.
Yes.
So for example, you said Chanel is kind of regal or very classy, maybe.
Yes, classy.
And what I want to know is, why does that appeal to you? Why did you feel like that was very attractive?
Attract?
Why was that very attractive?
I think it's very classic, and it could let the women looks like have a good taste and 很精致，deliberate or 就精致。
Yes.
对 deliberate women.
Okay, sure. Then how now that you like LV, how has your sense of style or taste changed?
Because I have two two types of identities, like the student, I like the visit fellow and the working women. I think when in the past I'm a traditional working women, I should taste the classic or the cash or the format bags to go to work. And right now I'm a visiting fellow of the institute. I have times to go to work and always have the times to go outside or pick up the children from the kindergarten. I have a lot of casual times, so I want more types of the bags, like the 怎么说呢？就是那些包的名字我就不知道怎么分了，就是什么就是旅行包呀，什么包，就是 traveling bag and other things. Yeah.
So what I mean is it more practical?
Practical.
Do you think the LV bag is more practical?
Yeah, practical. And 很耐用，就很耐用，也很实用，就是这样子，就随便扔，就不像 Chanel 的包，你就觉得我每天要把它放得好好的。
我懂这个 Chanel 的包就是不是很容易用它，但是我想知道，就是因为 LV 还是一个品牌的包，对不对啊？
对。
你为什么不就拿一个普通的包？
我是延续你上面的问题下来的，就是说你上面的问题就是最早是说的是你喜欢就是说什么品牌的包啊还是什么，然后我就就是从那个问题一直就是所以我的思路全部局限在这个奢侈品和名牌包里头了。
对，因为我的 我为什么我在问这个？因为就是我的意思是，你如果买一个名牌包，就是你选的这个牌子，平常就是跟你的生活或者你的品味有点关系的，对不对？所以你说 Chanel 就是那种很高档的那种这种味道。那么这个 LV 它的特点是什么？
我觉得它的特点除了美观之外，我觉得就很实用，真的算名牌包里面很耐用的一个包，就是这样。我觉得随便到哪儿去就用，就不会觉得特别容易损耗，特别心疼那种。
这点我是了解的，但是就是怎么说，你听上去有点奇怪，因为你说我就是想买这个 LV 品牌，因为它很方便，对不对啊？这就有点奇怪了，因为我在想，你就在我买个1块钱的布包就行了。
是的。其实我应该就是后面应该跳出这个品牌来说种类，对吧？
对对，或者你就是直接说一下 LV 它有没有什么特色？LV 这个牌子它是表明是什么？
可能没有太多要说的。
So there's no real reason why it has to be an LV bag, just a big, like easy to use, convenient bag.
对，其实因为之前我是很了解香奈儿的历史，所以说我很喜欢它。那后头是因为我觉得，就是说因为最早其实不喜欢 LV 包，我其实在去年才买的，前年就是2年前才第一个买了 LV 的包。
然后你发现很方便。
不是因为以前我觉得它是太烂大街了，因为中国连大妈都背着不知道是真是假的 LV 包在外面，所以说我根本就不屑这个东西，我一直就没有买过，就是这样。然后后头是因为就是说朋友说确实很耐用嘛，你试试嘛，然后我才买一个，然后觉得确实很耐用，很实用。
OK， 所以这个我会怎么讲？这个其实我觉得你这个就是讲出来点味道了，对吧？所以我可以这样讲。Right now, I like Louis Vuitton or LV.
Yeah.
Actually, it's something I only just recently got. I bought my first LV bag about 2 years ago. At the time, I didn't particularly like the brand, but all my girlfriends said to me, it's really easy to use. It's really convenient. You should try it out. Okay. I bought one, right? And I found out it's true, right? Originally, if you look at the catalog, it looks like, it's just a huge, big bucket bag, right? It doesn't seem very convenient, but, now that I'm a mom and I have to carry a lot of stuff around, right, you really appreciate the extra space.
Appreciate.
Appreciate.
Oh, appreciate. Yeah.
And, if you say, is there anything super special about the LV bag? Maybe not. It's not as, specialized as a Chanel bag. But maybe at the same time, right, as perhaps as I get older, right, and I'm a mom and I'm working and things like that, it's much more suitable for my lifestyle.
OK，
你可以这样去讲它，对不对？你也可以讲那个就是关于中国的这件事情，就是in China, one of the problems that you have with luxury bags is that there's a lot of pirate and fakes out there, and you see a lot of women on the streets with these LV bags, and the first thing you think is that real? Probably not. Yeah. So yeah, when you're shopping, if you ever go shopping in China, you have to be very, very sure that you're getting a real product. It's probably safest to actually go to one of the proper LV boutiques. Never buy one off the streets. 对，你这样讲呢，这个我觉得就是这个话题就是更有趣一点，因为像我说，你这种西方的考官，他们就是没有很多在中国这种经验，他们也不知道就是在中国有很多这种盗版，所以对他们来说这是完全新的内容。对。Okay, so I guess the next question is, do you think it's necessary for a person to have a luxury bag? Does the luxury bag have any function?
Okay, I think the most important function is to join some format or the some luxury parties or the high level conference. I think all the and for the businessmen, or the women, that is more important. It could show you are wealthy and have a lot of function to. I think it could increase your success opportunities. High opportunities to have the to sign the contract.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Well done.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the obvious, and it's a good answer.
Thank you.
For the IELTS, I don't think it's necessary for you to come up with super original answers for each one, right?
Yeah.
So that one, you have a very clear theory, right? Which is this idea that if you're specifically doing business and stuff and you need to have a good reputation,
okay,
and show off your level of status or success, then it does have some function. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe for a regular person, not so much. It's just something that they like.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, good. Now we might try one more topic.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go with this one is not a hard one to understand, but a pretty hard one to give strong answers for. And the topic is politeness.
Politeness. Okay.
Politeness. 礼貌.
我知道礼貌.
Yes. Okay, so we'll start with, do you think that you're a polite person?
Yeah. Personally, I think I'm a polite person because from my when I was born, my parents is a very traditional person. They told me the politeness and even the most of them have to respect the older people. It's very important in China, especially in the north of the China. That is very important 家训，我不知道怎么说 in my families, and everyone should abide that regulations. And in the society, the China have the strong sense of the politeness because it's from the 孔子什么，反正
yes.
名人嘛，孔子嘛，yes, yeah, Confucius. It education generation by generation. And right now, I always told my daughter the politeness is very important. It could let the people trust you and very want to have the strong willing to communicate with you at the first sight.
All right. Now, what kind of manners do you think are the most important, or what kind of manners would you teach?
Okay. And the first important is say hello. Yeah. When you meet a person and say hello and require how are you is very important. And then you should wearing the fitful clothes and have the politeness sentences with you always, and the gesture, because such as leave the courtesy side to the older people and take care of the pregnant female, pregnant women and the little kids. That is very important outside.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about China specifically, right? Because you probably know a little bit more about that particular culture.
Yeah.
So, for example, you said you have to be more respectful or polite towards the elderly or older people, right? Why is that? And how exactly do you show your politeness?
Okay. And in my family, that is a lot of things should be followed. One is we should let if the is a dinner prepared and we come together to have the dinner. and the first first starting one is the elder people, the oldest people in my family, and the last one is the youngest people. That is one thing. And another thing is, if I were doing the cooking or the 家务 household workings, that is, if I'm younger or am stronger, I should afford a lot of works to do and let the older people to have the rest. Yeah, that is true. And I think the three is, I think that is the old story, like the 孔融让梨. That is the little kids. If he has two pairs, he will let the old people to choose first, and the second one is if he choose first, he will choose the smallest pairs and let the bigger one to the elder people. That is traditional idols.
Right. Now, so I think most of that answer was quite good. So the things like letting the elderly people eat first,
yeah,
right, or helping them do housework or chores, right? I think those are very clear examples. They're very similar to Western ones, so this is something that people can understand.
Okay.
Right? Another example might be if you're on public transport, like the bus or the train, and you see an elderly people, you stand up and let them take a seat.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, that kind of thing I think is very common and easy to understand, right? Now, your story example, 孔融让梨, this one is only, as you can imagine, it's kind of unique to China, right? Okay. And the problem with this is that the regular Western examiner will have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, maybe Western people couldn't understand what's the meaning of that.
Yeah, and you start talking about pears and things like that. we're not too sure what's going on. Right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to talk about that, you'd have to tell the story.
Yeah.
Right? To understand the principle. So this is where, again, it's not a bad example, but you probably don't want to say it because it will cause more confusion than it does to actually explain.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I think that overall, right, like I said, if you just left it at the first two examples, that would be a pretty good answer.
Okay.
Yeah, you might say that third one was a bit 画蛇添足.
对 Right.
Thank you. All right, now here's a bit of a harder question. Do you think manners and politeness have changed at all over the last past few decades, let's say? So over time, do you think manners and politeness change? Or maybe what we're talking about is society's standards. Does what we think of as being polite or good-mannered, does that definition change over time?
I think it's a little difficult to reply to answer. Let me think it. I think this years, I think it may be changed a little, because I think in the past years, or in traditional families or traditional peoples, they will follow the polite manners as well. But in some for some young people, or a lot of children, or the younger people go abroad, they absorbed a lot of kind of cultures. They may have the complete of the culture from overseas. So they maybe think they will do another ways to follow the polite manners.
So this is where I think we're talking a little bit too theoretical. So you're saying we're taking different manners and cultures from other cultures and traditions, right?
Yeah.
So this is where I think it's better if you just directly give an example. Right. So for example, where do you think this influence is coming from? If we're talking about China, what foreign cultures do you think people are learning from?
Foreign cultures?
Yeah. So if you're a Chinese person today, right, and you're saying there's probably some influence, some cultural clash.
Oh, yeah.
Where, what other country do you think they're being influenced by?
They will be influenced by?
Yeah.
I think every country have their own polite manners. There have some common ones. That is respect the older people and the pregnancy and the little kids. That I think every country have the same common sense of that. But some different comments, some different sense of other things, like the if like the making decisions. And in China, parents could make decisions for the children or their daughter or son. But in the Western countries, the parents will respect their other families.
Right. So I think that's a good example, right?
Yeah.
For example, the one that when you're talking about relationships, the one that comes to mind is that I know in Chinese cultures, for example, if you're choosing to get married or something like that, the customs or politenesses is to ask for the parents' permission.
Yeah.
Right, and blessing. And that's something that was also true in Western society for a long time, but it's kind of disappearing in modern society.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas it's still a lot stronger, I think, in the Eastern culture.
Yeah.
So what I was asking though is, there's definitely some of these cultural clashes, right? Conflicts between different cultures.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you're a person, for example, living in China,
yeah,
when would you feel that kind of clash in your own life? As in,
I think it's the 程度, the deep or
the degree, yes.
The degree of the freedom of the activities, I think.
So what let me put it this way, right? So for example, let's say that you're a person and you have a very traditional upbringing, you have a very strong sense of manners.
Yeah.
Right? What kind of situation in your life do you think your manners would be challenged or would come into conflict with somebody else?
I don't understand very clearly this question. You mean in what situation I could change my polite manner?
我用个不同的方法来问你一下，就是你像说，你就是说，比如说，就是我们讲到礼貌这件事情的时候，像比如说中国和澳大利亚是，有很多礼貌都是同样的，但是有一些是，也就是说，就是从文化方面有一些是有差别的，对不对？对。所以我的问题呢，就是这个跟你的生活有什么关系？就是你是不是经验过，就是这个差别会不会影响到你？或者可能就是，假如说你下一代，像你的孩子，你怕不怕他们可能学到西方的这种文化和西方的礼貌？可能。
其实说实在的，我其实还是不是很了解，就是澳洲除了这个跟中国差不多的尊老爱幼这些礼貌以外，我确实也不是很了解它到底还有其他什么礼貌。所以当时我刚刚举了一个，就是父母会 会不会尊重孩子的选择的这个事情作为一个例子，但是我其实想不出来还有其他什么例子。
这种就是怎么说啊？你说的差别有时候是很大的差距，有时候是比较小的。
对啊。
像比如说一个比较小的一个，可能就是我们这里有个规矩，就是吃饭的时候你手和那个叫什么这个肩膀什么不应该放在台子上。
真的
这种是算一个比较小的礼貌吧。
手
靠在台子上是算不礼貌的。
手是不能放在桌上的吗？
对，吃饭的时候不应该的。
但是在中国，如果你手不放在桌上，然后也要掉在底下，是非常不礼貌的。
对，所以这种就是像我说的，这种可能就是两个国家有点差距，对吗？但你也不会想，就是这是个很大的问题，对吧？对不对啊？但是就是你这个就是可以举一个例子，对吗？我知道像比如说在中国有很多小的例子我知道的，像在中国你如果送礼物的话是不能送钟的。
对，是的。
这个我以前是发现，是因为我就是我有个朋友，他经常那个叫什么，我们开会或者什么来晚了，所以我送了他一个钟。然后后来大家都告诉我这是很不礼貌的。
对，
我送了他一个闹钟。对，这就是我后来才发现的。对吧？所以这种呢，你可以，但是这种你如果评论的话，你可以说是比较小的事情，不是特别要紧的。对吗？如果你说就是父母尊重他们孩子的选择的话，也是看就是尊重什么样子的选择。对不对啊？他们的孩子就是结婚或者什么这种选择，就是这些就是可能算比较大的事情了。所以我的意思就是，我们这些文化之间肯定是有一点这种差距的，关于礼貌，对不对？你觉得这是不是一个很大的问题？你是不是觉得，比如说你如果住在中国的话，是不是中国的礼貌被像西方的这种像美国的礼貌被影响过？
我觉得倒不是一个很大的问题，但是我觉得还是会有影响，就是对于这种国际化的人，就是比如像其实对我们这一代并没有什么影响，因为我们不会在再去更深或再多的发展，但是对于我们的下一代，我觉得还是有影响的，因为你是要做一个国际人，你要在国际的学校继续念书，然后要跟全球的人打交道。那么你的生意谈不谈得成，你的能不能取得老板的信任或怎么样？我觉得这个都是从你的礼貌的习惯可以看得出来的。有可能就是因为文化的差异，他觉得你就是没有礼貌，那么你有可能丢失很多机会。
所以你的意思就是，你觉得就是很值得一定要去学一下别的国家的礼貌？
我觉得如果是在某一个国家，还是应该学习和尊重别人的礼貌，就是这样子的。
那没问题，对，所以这个就是你要用英文表达出来。
对。
所以你刚才讲的用英文怎么讲？你可能会说，Okay, so you know, I think the world is coming closer together. We're getting more globalized. Right, which means that the next generation, for example, our kids, right, there's a much higher chance that they're going to be, working and interacting with people from other cultures.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, especially if you're going to move overseas and live there, it's extremely important to understand the other culture, the other side's manners and politenesses,
Yeah.
right? So that you can work. You won't lose out on business opportunities or relationships and so on.
Yeah.
对吧？所以你会这样去讲它。对，然后我觉得这个答案就是很好的。
对。
Yeah, good. All right, so I think that's it. Let's finish that one.